Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me. Welcome to this video. Today we are going to be talking about physical intimacy and spirituality and how these go together. If you want to receive notifications before Instagram sends them out, please join my Telegram group, which you can find in my link in bio. It's free to join Telegram, and basically we have a group where we send out alerts whenever I'm going to go live or whenever I have any sales, anything going on in all of the other services that I offer. Also, if you are interested in joining the Magical VIP group, you can join that as well in my link in bio. Or if you are on YouTube, you can find my links in the description of the video. All right. So today we're going to talk about physical intimacy and spirituality. Okay. Why can I not spell today? Here we go. So we're going to wait a little bit while Instagram sends out their notification. How's everybody doing today? Hello. For those of you who have orders placed, please just check the shop update. We are aiming to get all the orders out by the end of the week. We have another snowstorm, so thank you for your patience. Alrighty. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So, physical intimacy and spirituality. So, a lot of the times when we, talk about physical intimacy, usually in spiritual practices or in religious practices, everybody's telling you, don't do it, which is true. You shouldn't be participating in physical intimacy if you're not in the right, if you're not the right age or in the right understanding of energy. Okay, so within us, within our root chakras and sacral chakras, and this is something that was actually practiced not just by the Eastern cultures, but it's mostly known in the Hindu culture. But this is something that was also practiced in Egypt and various in the indigenous community. In the indigenous practices. So spiritual intimacy, physical intimacy and spirituality were often intermixed in, for example, the Arawakan culture, which is where I have my indigenous culture from. Or in African culture, the Egyptians practiced this. The Hindus practiced this. They call it different things. And even in Christianity, there is a book that by a historian. I have to find it so I can share it with you guys. There is a book by a historian that is about how Jesus awakened this energy within him by connecting with Mary Magdalene. Okay, now this energy can be awakened whether you are whether you are attracted to the same gender or whether you are attracted to the opposite gender. It doesn't matter what gender you are. You can attract, okay? You can actually awaken this energy with either a partner that is the same sex as you or is the opposite sex. Mary Magdalene was actually not a prostitute. If you actually read the truth in scriptures, in multiple scriptures, instead of just listening to what people tell you, you can actually read in multiple scriptures that the reason why Mary called a prostitute was because she was a priestess of Isis. And when you are a priestess of any multi-god religion or culture, like Mary Magdalene first was introduced to being a priestess in the Isis temples, you would actually be called a prostitute by Jews. Okay, so read before you just start spewing your hatred and your misinformation. So read. There's tons of knowledge out there. Other knowledge than just the Christian knowledge that is shared. Okay, so Mary Magdalene was called a prostitute by the Jews because she originally did not believe in that one God paradigm that Christianity tries to push down your throat. So, according to many other scholars that have researched Jesus and that have researched his connection with Mary Magdalene, okay, because many of the older scriptures before they were edited have indication from the other apostles that Jesus was extra specially attentive to Mary Magdalene, indicating to many historians that possibly Mary Magdalene was actually Jesus's wife, okay? And she was, and her role as his wife was actually removed because she was known to be his first and most elevated apostle. And it is believed in some scriptures and in some historical analysis that Mary Magdalene and and Jesus, they slept together only for the purpose of spiritual elevation, for the purposes of awakening what is known as, in the Christian mythology, as the spiritual flame. Okay, so this is the kind of physical intimacy that you have with a twin flame energy. Okay, so they were usually when you use, now the spiritual flame can be awakened on your own through meditation, through really deep practice of meditation in your chakras and your energy centers. However, one of the easier ways to awaken this this internal spiritual flame, the spiritual flame is what they call it in the Christian dogma, but in the Eastern religions, it's called the Kundalini. Okay, so the Kundalini is this spiritual energy that resides within your root chakra and your sacral chakra, and it's believed to kind of be coiled up like a snake sleeping. Okay, this is why, another reason why the snake was demonized in Christianity. Okay, so that's why it's important. I think I'm going to actually do a whole series on where I just read history from different perspectives, so that way, we can all be informed. So in the Kundalini states, or the Kundalini beliefs, or the spiritual flame beliefs, hold that there is this energy, spiritual energy, that is coiled within your creation chakra, which is your sacral chakra or your root chakra. Your root chakra is the chakra that connects you to the earth, that connects you to safety and security and grounding. Okay. And then the sacral chakra is that energy. The sacral chakra is the center of creation. Okay. So the spiritual flame is believed to be born from that center of creation. And many historians who have studied Jesus outside of the Christian perspective have noticed that what Jesus did was actually that he awakened his spiritual flame with the help of Mary Magdalene, and why Mary Magdalene was also able to awaken the spiritual flame, and she was able to actually carry out a lot of the same miracles. If you look up some information about her from a different perspective other than the Christian or the Catholic perspective, if you look up some information about Mary Magdalene, she was actually also known in France and in other places in Europe that she ended up traveling to after Jesus was put to death, where she spread the knowledge of Jesus's teachings. And there's even churches dedicated to her and to her way of teaching the gospel. Okay, so it's believed that Jesus and Mary Magdalene only had physical intimacy for the purposes of spiritual elevation, because the Kundalini cannot be activated if you are having physical intimacy with someone who is at the wrong vibration. If you are not working on your energy and that person's not working on their energy can actually damage your Kundalini energy. So then you'd have to go through the healing process of healing. And what can also happen, okay? What can also happen is that when your Kundalini energy is damaged, you can also experience what the indigenous people called soul loss. Okay, so that's why a lot of people end up having sexual encounters or physical encounters with certain people, and they end up feeling like almost addicted to that person, like they can't be without them, because your spiritual energy has been tainted by someone who has a destructive energy. So it's important that when you are experiencing physical intimacy, that you understand the importance of it and how powerful it is for your spiritual energy, so that you are more careful with who you exchange those energies with. Now, I'm not saying, be don't have physical intimacy at all or all of that stuff. Just keep in mind that the person you exchange energy with, you are actually performing a magical ritual when you have physical intimacy with any person. And that magical ritual can actually affect your spiritual energy and your spiritual ascension and the activating of your God power, the ability to heal like Jesus did. Jesus actually tapped into his divine self, which is the reason why they called him a divine being, a divine God, is because he was a master of energy. He became a ascended master of energy. And then through his knowledge, he was able to create miracles, which then caused others to believe that he was actually a God. Okay. But what he did was he tapped into his divine purpose, because remember, even the Old Testament says we are made in the image of God. So we all have this God within us. We have a piece of God within us. I always like to say, because Spirit kind of tries to explain it to me in ways that I understand. Spirit says to me, think of God as half outside of you and half inside of you. Okay? So it's really important who you exchange energies with, because when you exchange energies with someone, you can tap in deeper into they can force you to tap deeper into darker aspects of yourself if they are not respecting that, or they can taint your spiritual flame. But other people who have respect for you, who love you, who are exchanging energy with you, in a loving way, in a way that is respectful to you, they will help to awaken your inner flame, and it will help your spiritual elevation, and you can help one another. Okay. Like I said, this doesn't have to be a heterosexual relationship. It can be a homosexual relationship, but it's important that what matters is the energy. What matters is the energy. And when that energy is aroused, and it is aroused by the right person, aroused by the right energy, it is able to grow and to intertwine into this beautiful helix, which is what you see when you look at the staff of Raphael, Archangel Raphael, because this Kundalini energy, this spiritual flame, also gives you the ability to heal other people. Okay, that is why Archangel Raphael carries the staff with the two snakes intertwined with the wings. That is because that is indicating the Kundalini energy, as it's known in the Eastern practices. But in the indigenous culture, in the Christian culture, it was more talked about as the fire of the soul. Okay. Raphael's staff. Let me show you. So when we look at images of the staff that Raphael carries, here, there are two snakes intertwined around the middle rod, and then there are wings on the end. So what this staff actually represents, the middle rod is our spine. Okay, the bottom of the staff is actually the root chakra, and then as you see, there are two snakes here intertwining, and that is the snake of the higher self and the shadow self, healing and coming together and unifying into a divine being, which allows you to become a healer, which is why Archangel Raphael, God's healer, actually carries the staff. Okay. And Jesus, as an ascended master, whether you believe of him as a God or as an ascended master, He learned how to use this Ka energy and awaken it through the proper sexual encounter, according to many historians who studied other things other than the Gospels, as well as the Gospels. So you can find a lot of information out there. There is the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, which was actually taken out of the Bible, throws some hints into the fact, kind of implies that her and Jesus did have a physical, intimate relationship. Now, the shadow, when the shadow is healed, it can become your power. But when you suppress your shadows and you don't acknowledge them, I'm not saying to act out of your shadows, but you need to acknowledge your shadows so that you can control them and heal them. And then once you heal your shadows and you have control over your shadows, your higher self is able to help you balance your shadows. You're able to heal it, and then your shadow can become your power. Okay, your shadows, because Jesus was aware that his shadows could take him down the wrong path. But if he healed his shadows, acknowledged his shadows, it could actually assist him in further awakening his divine flame and allowing himself to heal as a son of God and to achieve God's power as a son of God. Okay, so that's why it's so important to have understanding and comprehension, more comprehension than understanding, comprehension of the physical, the energy that is exchanged. Okay. The first step to healing your shadows is acknowledging them, acknowledging that you have them, and acknowledging, calling them out by name, and then working on changing those things or integrating those things.
Hey.
So,
Knock it off.
All right. So, yes. So that's all that I have to say. That's all that Spirit wanted me to share about that. Remember that your energy is powerful and that your energy is special. So that's why it's extremely important to be wise about who you exchange physical energies with. Okay? A shadow can be envy. A shadow can be anxiety. A shadow can be sadness. A shadow can be rage. A shadow can be jealousy. A shadow can be lack of care for others. Fear is one of the biggest shadows. Okay? So it's important to... Yes, shadows can be suppressed emotions. Exactly. So some of them are meant to be integrated and to be used as your power, and some of them are meant to be healed and released so that you're not weighed down by them. Self-limiting beliefs. Correct. So if you don't have a partner, you can still awake this spiritual flame within you. So that's the last thing. You can awaken the spiritual flame within you. I'm going to say something that may be a little controversial to those religious folks, but you can arouse yourself in a respectful way to actually, while you are meditating, to arouse that spiritual flame energy within you. Okay, so you can. The word starts with M. The action you can do actually starts with M. Okay, that's why they actually sell certain crystals in a certain shape for women, so women can actually meditate and arouse themselves and do the actions that will help in activating through meditation on your own that flame. And also males can do it as well. But as long as you're respectful and you do your thing, I don't care. That's not my business. But there is a certain level of you have to like yourself, right, before other people like you. So it's important to like yourself, okay? There are things called yoni eggs, which are usually used for balancing your chakras, but other people use them for other reasons, okay? So, and with the intention of awakening that kundalini snake, or that spiritual fire within you, which lies within you, okay? Usually yoni eggs are made of different crystals, all right? Just make sure that you never do anything with anything that ends in ite, because ite is not supposed to be consumed. Anything that ends in ite is not supposed to be consumed internally. It's only any crystals that end in ite are supposed to be, they're not supposed to be put in water, and they're not supposed to be consumed internally. Like in the Egyptian mythology. Yes, Egyptians actually practice this as well. There is a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff, y'all. If y'all don't read, if you don't read and you just take whatever somebody else tells you, it's important to ask Spirit to lead you to the books that you should be listening to. Okay? So, I always say, listen to your discernment, listen to your intuition, listen to your spirit guides. But whenever there's information that I want to know, I ask Spirit, and Spirit will either answer the question for me, or they will lead me to information from someone else, a book usually, that could answer that question, or they will put a teacher in my path. I have a little bit of light reading because a lot of you know that I went to herbalism school. So, but I am extending my herbalism degree. So look at my light reading for today. So it's really important to remember that, to make sure that you are not absorbing, but looking at, with discernment, at different information. Aw, thank you, babe. She says I'm a walking library. Yeah, this is my light reading for today. Murder. Yeah, it's my light reading. So remember to listen to your intuition, but also seek to inform yourself on other things other than just what the church has told you. Because that whole thing about Mary Magdalene being a prostitute, that was something that was actually completely removed, and the Vatican even apologized for it. Okay? Yeah, I had to get a new bookshelf. I ran out of bookshelves. But I don't just practice what I read in books. I take discernment, and if something vibrates with me, and Spirit tells me that that's a yes, then I will do something. But I don't just practice what's in books. I practice out of experience. I practice out of what Spirit shows me to do. But I do like to inform myself on history, okay? World history. Oh, hold on. This doesn't have to do anything with physical intimacy and spirituality, but I have a really good history book that all of y'all should be reading. Hold on. We're back. But remember, history is written by the victor, so just keep that in mind. So hold on 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and grab that book. I'll be right back.
Tea.
There are whole degrees on There are whole degrees, meaning college degrees, on religious theology and religious history, and how many times the Bible has been edited. Okay, but this is the Bible and other religious. This is a really good one. It's called World History, and it is from ancient Egypt. It only goes back as far as ancient Egypt, but we have found now that there was a civilization before ancient Egypt, which was known as the Anunnaki. They weren't all nice. They weren't all positive. But this is a pretty good overview. And there's also, for those of you who are interested in Taino history, in Arawakan history, there is a great page on Instagram known as Taino Studies, and it's run by a professor, a young professor who has studied Taino culture and Taino spirituality for a very, 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 very long time. Okay, so this history, it's like $30. So it starts in Egypt and it goes all the way to Queen Elizabeth. I think it actually goes to present time. Let me see. Yes, it does. It goes up to the present. What they have, the last thing they talk about in here is the European Union and the crisis of populism. So this is like, yeah, so it goes as deep. Now remember that, again, history is written by the victors. So make sure that if you want to know more history about a specific place, to read history from the perspective of writers that come from that place, which is why I love Taino Studies, because he is Taino and he has done the deep, deep work to research into the Taino culture, into the Haitian culture as well, and how Haiti has a lot of Taino cultural information. Okay. The author of the World History book is, hold on, because this is a publisher. So the publisher is it's called Eyewitness Companion World History. It's a combination of authors here. So let me see. It's a combination of people who wrote this. But if you just look up Philip Parker. Philip Parker was the main contributor. So Philip Parker, World History from the Ancient World to the Information Age by Philip Parker. So, and there's a beautiful Mayan coin or Aztec coin. I always get confused between the Aztecs and the Mayans. They were so similar. Yes. So, great history. The history, if you look up the Mary Magdalene Gospel, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, you can read it yourself, and there is a section in her Gospel where she's describing what sounds like a intimate physical experience with Jesus, or how she called him Jeshua. Okay, it is believed that some scholars believe that the wine, the party that they were at where Jesus turned water into wine was actually his own wedding to Mary Magdalene. Some scholars oppose that belief. Some historians really, really, based on the information they have found, believe that to be true. Okay? So that's all that I have for you today. Inform yourself. Knowledge is power. But remember to always take knowledge with discernment and with an open mind. All right, everyone? Much love and blessings to you all. Go out there and be physically responsible. Many blessings.